All right, so for months, the Destroy Trump media has been floating the conspiracy theories and pushing all kinds of unfounded accusations against President Trump and members of his administration. But guess what? It's actually now boomeranging back. The left, they're the ones guilty of committing the very things they have been accusing the president and people close to the president of. In other words, the real colluders are the ones who have been claiming collusion by trying to score cheap political points and by making these absurd and wild claims about the president. Democrats are actually now exposing themselves, leading themselves wide open. Now, the real fault for Russia's election interference now falls, guess what, at the feet of former President Obama. The real crimes were committed, in fact, by Hillary Clinton. The real obstructor of justice is the former Attorney General, Loretta Lynch. The real Russia conspiracy is the Uranium One deal, and another one I'll explain tonight. And the real corrupt collusion is the relationship between the former FBI Director, James Comey, and his BFF, hiring every liberal Democrat he can, the special counsel, Robert Mueller. Let's start with Russia election meddling. Now, according to a brand new report, President Obama knew exactly what he was going through and what was going on during the election. He chose, starting in August of 2016, to do nothing. Now, President Trump spoke this morning about the stunning hypocrisy during an interview with Fox and Friends. Take a look.
Well, I just heard today for the first time that Obama knew about Russia a long time before the election, and he did nothing about it. But nobody wants to talk about that. That the CIA gave him information on Russia a long time before they even, before the election. And I hardly see it. It's an amazing thing to me. In other words, the question is, if he had the information, why didn't he do something about it? He should have done something about it. But you don't read that. It's quite sad.
Why did Obama not do anything about this? Now, the president is making an excellent point. And by the way, he's not the only official who's calling out Barack Obama for failing to act. Remember, he had this information in August of 2016. Now the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff, he's also slamming the former president. Hard to believe, but watch this.
The American people needed to know, and I didn't think it was enough to tell them after the election, but rather, given the seriousness of this, I think the administration needed to call out Russia earlier, needed to act to deter and punish Russia earlier, and I think that was a very serious mistake.
That's correct. We, the people, needed to know. So the real question tonight is, if President Obama knew what Russia was doing back in August of 2016, why didn't he act? Now, remember, Democrats have been claiming the Russia interference, which, for the record, didn't change actual vote tallies, according to every top government official who's testified. But they're saying it was so egregious that it threatened the very foundation of this country. Well, if that's the case, why did Obama stay silent? The answer we now know is simple. According to a report, the president didn't do any investigation because he actually thought Hillary was going to win. In other words, let me translate here. The only reason Russian interference in the story is a big deal is because Donald Trump won. Now, that's what the special counsel needs to be investigating tonight. Real collusion. Obama this time, defending Hillary, colluding so she'd win and not rocking the boat. And by the way, that's why everyone should be freaking out about right now. And they are. Now, we need to know, what did President Obama know? When did he know it? And maybe he could come and clear up some serious questions. After all, it was Obama who promised to be more flexible with Vladimir. Remember this? With Medvedev, I'll have more flexibility after the election.
This is my last election. Yeah. And after my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah.
And I transmit this information to Vladimir.
Then tonight, there's actual crimes and actual felonies being committed. Well, we know Hillary Clinton. The evidence is overwhelming and incontrovertible as it relates to her email server. Democrats, the Destroy Trump media, for months, well, they've accused President Trump of breaking the law without any evidence, without any proof. Now, meanwhile, we have evidence of real crimes, and it's right in front of their faces and has been for a long time. Hillary Clinton broke the law by mishandling top secret, classified special access program information on her email server that she put in a mom and pop shop bathroom closet. James Comey said Clinton was, quote, extremely careless. Essentially, that's the same thing as what the law calls for, gross negligence. And then, of course, you have obstruction of justice. Democrats, they've been claiming, well, President Trump tried to interfere in the Russia investigation, which, once again, no proof, none. And as we now found out, the real obstructor of justice appears to be the former Attorney General, Loretta Lynch. Her actions have become such a problem that now a group of bipartisan senators announced late last week they are now going to do their job and investigate the former Obama Attorney General for potentially influencing the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email server. And by the way, here's why. We know last summer, Lynch met on a tarmac. Remember how inappropriate that meeting for 40 minutes with Bill Clinton was just days before former FBI Director James Comey announced that he was giving Hillary a free pass after basically 13 minutes of a stinging indictment. And while testifying before Congress, Comey also revealed that Lynch told him to call the investigation a matter, which, by the way, is how Clinton's own campaign wanted it referred to. And finally, remember Circa News, they broke the massive story a couple of weeks ago about how it was James Comey who confronted Lynch over potentially putting the entire kibosh on any Clinton indictment. In other words, the fix was in. This Lynch scandal, by the way, is now getting so bad that even Democrats are admitting this is now a problem, which we've been telling you about for a long time. Lynch now needs to be put under oath to testify. Why? Because you, the American people, deserve to know the truth. And as for the real Russia conspiracy, it doesn't have anything to do with President Trump. It now deals with this important information that we know, the Uranium One deal. In other words, Secretary of State, then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Remember, she signed off on giving 20% of America's uranium, the foundational material for nuclear weapons, to Vladimir Putin and the Russians. By the way, a lot of people involved in that deal, they were kicking back huge millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. And her husband was doubling his speaking fees in Moscow. Now, Democrats, the Destroy Trump media, you want to talk about collusion, let's have the conversation. Let's do it. Because the real collusion going on is between the disgruntled former FBI director, James Comey, also the special counsel, Robert Mueller. Comey admitted that the reason he had a friend leak the memo to the New York Times is he wanted a special counsel. And guess what? Mueller, his BFF, was appointed. And Comey and Mueller's relationship is a massive conflict of interest. Then on top of that, members of Mueller's investigative team, let's see, they've donated huge bucks to Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. By the way, Mueller is even so corrupt, he went as far as to actually hire one of the lawyers that has done legal work for the Clinton Foundation to prevent you, the public, from getting Freedom of Information Act requests. And by the way, help defend in this particular case. All of these reasons are exactly why Mueller needs to step down, resign, the special counsel witch hunt ended, and by the way, end also the politically motivated so-called investigation once and for all. Also tonight, we have an explosive report from the New York Post. Here's the headline, quote, sketchy firm behind Trump's dossier is stalling investigators. And the Post explains that the firm behind the dossier, which is called Fusion GPS, they're refusing to respond to requests from the Senate Judiciary Committee about that fake document, which has helped fuel and even begin the phony Russia conspiracy theories. And the congressional sources tell the Post that a firm has a pro-Hillary Clinton, anti-Trump agenda. Oh, interesting. Remember, that's the dossier that talked about Trump at a Ritz-Carlton in Moscow with two prostitutes urinating on his bed? There's also this fact, that according to reports, the FBI, James Comey at the time, offered to pay the person who created the fake dossier $50,000. Now, the FBI has previously told Fox News that it denied making any payments. Now, the Trump-Russia collusion investigation has been turned now completely on its head. We shouldn't be surprised if Democrats, if they start now, well, maybe we ought to let this all come to an end, because now they've opened the door for their own investigations and real trouble. We call it the boomerang effect.